Hey y'all, today I wanted to talk to you about CPTSD and different things that, for instance, traits that you will have as a child. As far as, personal traits that you may have and hurdles that you may have to go through or jump over. In your life after you've woken up to abuse, that, on your pathway to healing, to becoming, the best version of yourself and to be healed up, because that's like a big thing for us when we awake to this stuff. It's like, we felt like our whole life we've been sabotaged and we didn't know it. And, people can talk out there all they want, but, to sit back and, have to deal with that. I mean, everybody's had to deal with stuff, so it is what it is. And there's a lot of narcissists out there, and a lot of, dysfunctional individuals, but it kind of sucks, man, when you find out, that, that all of this has happened to you your whole life. And it just, not just from one person. It started with one person and it became, people that begun to surround you and become parasitic off of you and to sabotage everything good that you were planning to do in your life. All your visions, all your thoughts of, growing yourself or whatever, they quelled it, squashed it, wrecked it, destroyed it, sabotaged it, lied about it, lied to get you off track and all kinds of things. It sucks. But anyway, we have to get on to, with that in mind, we have to start looking at it from another point of view, because we can't be a victim. So we got to get out of victim mentality, and to get out of that, at some point, we have to stop talking about it, because we need to start talking about how, we were woke up. We could have been asleep our whole life. And this is part of the healing. If you get into the psychology behind, healing yourself from, PTSD or CPTSD, it has to do with, you promoting the goodness, the good people that were around you, the few extended family or friends that were around that, thank God they were there, It's not like, we have a roof over our head, and we have we are awoke and we have a time to reset. So there's going to be like nine different things that occur in a person that has grown up in a narcissistic family, and they are, maybe the black sheep and didn't become a narcissist, but you were the trash of the family. According to them, right? Okay, so number one is this, the first thing is, and this is obvious now, but you're going to end up in a abusive relationship yourself. And why? Because you grew up with an abusive individual that from birth to your awakening, from diapers to your awakening, you were being abused. Let's be honest. And so because, not only did that happen and that became somewhat of your norm, but because you didn't become them, they groomed you to become, of course, their supply, or their regulation of their emotions and things like that. But because of that, it caused a lot of dysfunction in you, because they had to get you out of your norm to regulate them. So, like one thing they do is, of course, there's a lot of things that happen when you wake up. You hone your intuition, for instance, and that's one thing that the narcissist family member or mother, father, or caregiver, whoever it was, grandparent, whoever it was that helped raise you, that was the plant, the major, the matriarch or patriarch of the narcissistic part of the family. They groomed you to be reactive. They groomed you not to hone your intuition, but to do as you're told, to don't think for yourself. Just don't, do what we tell you. We'll act as your brain, your mind. Why? Because you're an extension of them, right? You're not. That's why they look at us as objects, because you're just an arm of them. And you could see it even back in childhood. My mother used to like to say, well, I used to say, I thought that I could do that. And she'd say, don't think. Anyway, my mother's going to kill me. Next, number 2 is fragile self-esteem. So with that becomes, they try to build, well, regardless, they know what they're doing to some degree. And then to some degree, a lot of the ones that we deal with that are on the, the lesser narcissist or the mid-range narcissist, they know what they're doing to some degree, or they know what construct they're living in. They can't be completely brain dead, but they do do things to some degree out of instinct. But they build an inferiority complex in you, because why? They want to, for one reason, major reason is they want somebody around all the time. If they can get, they just, a lot of times they can't break us into that complete codependent type lifestyle or whatever. But there are a lot of empaths that may, never leave the home. Same thing with the golden child. In fact, and they always want a caregiver. That's a big part of it. But they'll always have some sort of supply, right? They'll never, because they can't be alone. So, next is eating disorders. Eating disorders, especially for, women, is more for statistically more than men, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we're talking about like bulimia and stuff like that, but also, eating too much, and that would be for the men as well. So, or eating a lot of the wrong things, or, because you may have some sort of, you don't know how to deal with some of the issues because you've been knocked off center your whole life. And so you really don't know how to handle certain situations, and you end up handling it by doing things like this. And you've probably been condemned by the narcissist in your family or other people out and about, and with them beating down your self-esteem your whole life, and telling you you're never going to be anything, you're like stupid or something. They're it puts that in your head, and so to some degree, growing up, when you hear kids say some smart remark to you, you're gonna believe it more than maybe the average normie. Next would be you're gonna have chronic self-blame, and you're gonna feel worthless, and that's how they make you feel as well. And number five is going to be a deep inadequacy. So you're going to feel a lot of what this causes is you're never adequate in any situation, according to the narcissist. And then a lot of times they don't give you any tools. They don't help you when you're a child to do any of your homework or anything, man. It just, it's like you're there and you got to take care of yourself in a lot of ways. I mean, not completely, but in a lot of ways. And for some people it is completely. So, there's a lot of empaths probably had it way worse than I have. But I'm saying I've dealt with it to where it has affected my life, damn it. And so, I want healing, and just like you do. And, it's like we don't want to necessarily have to hate these individuals that cause all this, or these love partners we've had. We just got to, at some point, just say, goodbye, and that's it, man, and just kind of you got to get on that healing path, and what it causes. So, and you also know that you can't get nothing through to them. So you just, you always gray rock. I mean, it just makes sense. If you have to deal with them, you gray rock, and because it's like, whatever. I mean, they're brain dead anyway half the time. I mean, I hate to say, I shouldn't say that's wrong. But they're very much in a fixed position, like literally. Uh, but they don't want to hear your individuality anyway. They're just going to condemn it. And when you tell them who you are, and you start at some point, you're going to have to say. I used to say this. My mother will see me. My father will see me, but they'll never know who I am. Because and same thing with my siblings a lot, because they don't want to. They just want to condemn it. Condemn your spirit, your vision, everything. And the more you give them information to, the more they're going to destroy it. So just don't do it. That's why it's best to always gray rock them, even if they acting cool. Whatever, they ain't. Number 6 is addicted to perfectionism. So addicted to perfectionism because, a lot of times you're always getting destroyed as a child. This is what happened to me. My parents bought me nothing, okay? And everything I had was shitty, okay? I had hand-me-down clothes. I had home haircuts. I mean, we had shitty cars. Our home, nothing, was, we had air conditioning, but we didn't use it. We had heat, but we didn't use it. We had a washing machine and a dryer, but we didn't use the dryer. I mean, a lot of things that were ridiculous. But because of that, the particular town that I grew up in, it's like, kids had things and I had nothing. So then when they're beating down your self-esteem and everything, and, you don't even have too much intuition or common sense, it's just kind of like, you're just always, so you're getting beat down in the home, and then you go to school and you ain't got no nice clothes. You don't even have money for lunch. I didn't even have money for lunch. So, yeah, but anyway, yeah, and you're fogged up all the time. But anyway, so then you get beat down at school, beat down at home and at school, and it just sucks, man. And that's why, I used to tell people, especially before I woke up, I don't want to do that anymore, because it's just like I want to move on from that point in my life. I just want to look at the good points, and I know, if this was God's plan, it is what it is. But I used to tell people it was shitty, man. It was really shitty. It got so shitty, when I got dropped off, if I ever got dropped off from school, our car was so shitty, I'd be like, just drop me off a couple blocks away and I'll walk, because everybody had decent cars and stuff. Anyway, there was reasons. My mother never wanted to work. That was part of it, But anyway, number 7, you can have substance abuse is much higher, because a lot of times you have these feelings, you have these depressions and things, and you kind of don't know where they're coming from sometimes, because you kind of want to rationalize that you grew up in somewhat of a normal home, even though it was really messed up. And so you've been gaslit so much anyway throughout your life. It's kind of like you kind of rationalize the fact that it was better than it was. And then you're kind of having these depression issues, and it's like, I really am not really depressed, I mean, I shouldn't be depressed, because maybe you've made accomplishments in your life and you're doing better for yourself. And, because that was the thing with me. I just wanted to get the hell out of there. And that was always what I always said as a child. I started working at the age of really 13 under the table. At 14, I had my dad go to the courthouse and get a worker permit so I could work full time as a dishwasher at a Greek restaurant. And I'd go to school, and then I would get dropped off there and picked up later, because I knew I wasn't going to get any money for a car or anything. And I was sick and tired of wearing the clothes I was wearing and stuff that I had, and which was nothing, man. I mean, which was good. I was able to, save up for a car. And a lot of times that's the thing is you end up, because of that, people don't understand this, is you end up hanging out. And it's not that, say, poor people, I'm not even talking about poor people, but it's not poor people that you end up hanging out with. It's like, normally if you have a little bit of money, or you have nice clothes, or you have the ability to have your parents help you with your schoolwork or something, when you have issues, you have so many deficits where you need help as a child, just maybe little bits, and there's nothing there. And then you can't find friends of quality. That's how I put it. I don't know what else to say. I used to tell people that before I woke up. Because of the position that you're placed in, you have an inferiority complex, and you're probably, not at the grade level you should be. You look like crap. You have a low self-esteem, and you have no money, and you always get made fun of. So you just end up hanging out with like the hoods, you know, and you know, and so that's kind of what happens. And then you'll end up hanging out with people that smoke, drink, smoke weed, do drugs, and and all that stuff, man. And you're like, this is not who I would choose. This is all I had left. And it's not what I'm saying. It's not poor people. It's not anything to say about it's just like you're going to end up hanging out with, people that come from families that are very much not maybe motivated. I used to hang out in the hood and trailer park. So I've been to both. But I'll tell you, man, like, I'd say like African-American population when I was growing up, then my own people wouldn't hang out with me. But I got a lot of love and support from them. So appreciate that, because I don't know what I would be doing right now. Anyway, next is, you're going to be an extreme people pleaser probably, because of the fact that, to avoid abuse, and the way that you were groomed was to do those things, to make the narcissist happy all the time, sometimes preemptively so they don't beat your ass. And then the other part was, they have a grandiosity. So if you can fill that grandiosity, it's kind of like blowing smoke up their ass. If you can blow smoke up a narcissist's ass every day, that you have to live with, then you'll be okay. But this was your mother, but if this is like a love partner, and you'll be okay until they leave you, because they're cheating on you anyway. And number 9 is you'll end up, what did I say? Oh, you'll I don't know if I have a number 9. So you'll also end up in the fact that the other thing is you're going to end up with the ability to where, what leads to that is you can lead to addictive type personality. And so you're going to, you're going to have to, because you're going to have these like vacuums in your life to some degree, and you don't know why, because you had parents that were emotionally unavailable. Okay. And then when you tried to speak your thoughts, ideas, or anything, like that you were told to shut up. It's like, you got to get in line, because it's like a cult. I always call it the little cult, the family cult. So they don't want you to think for yourself. Thinking for yourself is the bad thing. They want you to do what you're told and believe what you're told. And then they a lot of times call it culture. So that's why I'm against culture. I mean, not just the whole idea of it, a lot of times. I understand, I respect people's, cultures to some degree, but sometimes it causes a lot of distraction to a child when they say, oh, this is what we do, this is our culture. Okay. And that's your rationalization, or that's your answer to it all. So what this can do to you is lead to, and you could end up, so what this leads to is you being isolated sometimes, because you get so sick and tired of being beat on, and you kind of get to a point to where you just would rather just go to work and come home. And that's another thing, when the love partner narcissist found you or finds you, that's what they love already. You're already pre-isolated. So they don't have to do any work there. So they already know you're isolated. So you did some of the work for them. But that's not healthy. We're supposed to be individuals of humanity that want to, engage with people. And it doesn't have to be people that we don't like, but we need to try to form good relationships, and and it's just not healthy. It's okay to have the dark night of the soul and to be alone for a while and kind of sort out these things when you first awaken. And it's good to be in solitude where you can be alone, but to have to, but you know, being alone is a healthy thing. It's just like, but you can't make it like an everyday, all the time thing. That's my point. You have to get out and, you know, surround yourself and you know, be around others. And if you do have things like depression and stuff, and that will kind of quell some of that too. The first thing you want to do though is they have this it's called EMDR movement, and then desensitization and repositioning, and it's supposed to help too. It's a technique that you guys can look up. Maybe I'll do a podcast on it, but it's kind of like you kind of think of the traumatic thought, and then you move you kind of like move your eyes, and it kind of desensitizes it, takes it away. They say, you know, it helps quite a bit. But the first thing you want to do is if you do have like an addiction or some sort of something holding you back in that area of your life, that's the first thing that you need to address. Because if you don't address that, like what's happening is you're doing that to suppress stuff, and so you need to get it unsuppressed, and so you can deal with it. And you got to be able to deal with life as it has its ups and its downs, and that's how you kind of can level things off. You got to, like, if you have like an addiction to something that's helping you, it's causing avoidance. And so now that you're awake, you got to go through it. And then, you know, you just don't want to, you know, continually isolate yourself, get out. Sometimes, you know, you can, you know how we always say that the narcissist heat checks us to see if they can hoover us, just by like, you know, putting your hand on the burner, seeing how warm it is. You know, maybe, you know, and a lot of times, you know, it could make us even somewhat, you know, emotionally unavailable too. And so you want to, when you're isolated too much, and you know, what you got to do is hone your intuition. And that's typically when you wake up, you hone your intuition right away, because that's generally speaking what woke you up, is your intuition. The trauma caused your intuition to really engage, because it became more of a survival tactic for you. And then it was like, you know, and then you had, at that point, you had the trauma hitting you in your face anyway. So it's like, you know, do you really need intuition? But if you do, you're, you know, here you go. I think sometimes the intuition got us to Google to find out it was narcissism as well. And praise God for that. But, so I don't have all the answers, but, you know, they say, you know, a lot of people don't know about narcissism, generally speaking, therapy wise. So it's kind of, you know, difficult. You got to take that on, you know, a one-to-one basis and decide what's right for you. But always be aware that look for red flags with therapists, because therapists are known to be narcissists. In fact, that's where they really flow to. Anything that gives them full-on supply or supply from empaths. So if you're going to be trying to counsel broken empaths, like where else would a narcissist want to work? That's the greatest place in the world. That's why you always hear that they're sleeping with them, because the narcissist is the counselor or is the therapist. So it's crazy, but you know, just, you know, always keep in mind that you can't be with the narcissist. You know, it's just, you're not. We are opposite of them completely. When they're happy, you're sad, and when you're happy, they're sad. And when you love, what your love is their hate. And a lot of times, you as an empath can only be happy when you're in a relationship with the narcissist, when it's through like them, basically, like if you give them all the credit, like, oh, I'm glad you were able to fix that, and be happy because something was fixed that the narcissist fixed or told you how to fix it. or something like that. But whenever you're up on things and you're doing well or you're happy, well, that makes them vulnerable. So they can't have that, because what's the first thing that they have to have is control, absolute control. So, and the other thing is of course you to heal, you cannot be in a relationship that's abusive and try to heal. I mean, you can for a period of time if you must, because you have children or finances, but you have to gray rock and you have to, do all those tactics until you can get away. But to truly heal, you have to away from toxicity. I mean, but that's kind of, I would think, obvious. Anyway, that's all for today. Soldier up, stand tall. Peace out. Love y'all.